Good evening and welcome to Fan TV, the show that football fans are talking about. I'm Justin Lee Collins, destroyer of Tarrants, and I'll be with you live all the way to 9:30 tonight. With only 24 more sleeps till Christmas, our lime green sofas are filling up fast with some of the best football chat leading up to the festive season. Last night, Toby kicked off the show with Pardew-loving Dom and James back from the Palace addiction. Yes, you heard right there are two people that like Pardew. And as if Palace fans aren't going through enough, they announced they're going to bring out a second edition of their book. Sorry, guys. Matt Marks and Mark hit the mark on the Black Country Derby. We built up this epic head-to-head between Wolves and West Brom on the lime green sofas, and it turns out there isn't much of a rivalry anymore. Cheers for that, guys. James and debutant Alex were next up to chat about the world of fantasy football after finding out James finished top of the Fan TV FanDuel League. Toby reluctantly had to admit that maybe they really are experts, especially since he ended up second from bottom. That's shocking, Tarrant. I can't believe you put Fabianski in goal. Even I know not to pick Flapianski. Our boys from Snack were joined by Jack, all the way from the US, to give us a German football update. Not only did he dish out all the latest German gossip, but he also showed us some embarrassing pictures from when he was at school. Starting to worry about you, Tobe. And last but by no means least, it was stingless Gianluca giving us the rundown of Italian football. Turns out Juve are probably still going to win the league, even after conceding 2 goals from Simeone's son. Sounds like a strange one. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Well, Mile Jednak got involved. He's on the front cover. He's talked really boringly about the season. You know. What was your favourite plugging?
We'll get back to talking about Wolves then, I suppose. As fun as that was. You touched on it before the break, January. You need a good transfer.
Oh, yeah, I lost you, sorry.
So, James, we're just talking about Wolves' transfer policy in January. No, we're discussing... There you are, mate, hello. Whichever school photo is the most embarrassing, go and get it and bring it over.
I still seen the photo, let's see.
Go and get it, and bring it over. We want to see the most embarrassing school photo. He's actually going. I love that he's going.
I think we're going to go fine this Premier League season. I think we're not playing well at the moment, but we're still grinding out results.
Very true, can't disagree.
What? How much longer is left in... that was easy.
I mean... expecting a bit of backlash here.
He changed his tune.
Toby, Tarrant's a bit cheeky, isn't he? If those were his best bits, can you imagine what the rest of the show must have been like? Enough of that. Here's what's coming up tonight here on Fan TV. In just 2 shakes of Harry Kane's contract, topical, we'll be welcoming our first guests out here onto the lime green. First up tonight, it's Spurs fan Dave and Swans man Gareth ahead of their team's clash this coming Saturday. And also, shortly we'll be off to Siberia, where apparently it's even colder than it is on Oxford Street today, to talk to our Russian correspondent, Andrewski. Spasima, Andrew. No idea. Then, at 8 p.m, it's time for some Sunderland action with Lewis and some Fulham commiserations with Matthew. At 8:30, we've got our usual slot with the amazing, the one and only, Dan La Liga man. Yes. Not only that, he's live in the studio tonight alongside Friday night defector Stephen Copping. Yes, and when 9 o'clock comes round, it's Arsenal all the way, with Taylor Me on the lime green sofa, whilst Kenny Ken kicks off on Skype. We might even chat a bit of Liverpool, because there's some bloke called Owen on the sofa as well. That's what's coming up on Fan TV tonight. And of course, Thursday night means we will be playing my favourite Fan TV feature, I'll Have a Foul, Please. More on that in a bit. And don't forget, our Twitter poll is also up and running. It's been running since this afternoon and won't close till the end of the show. Loads of time to vote on that. Let's take a look now at tonight's poll and how you're voting so far. The question is, who's going to win the EFL Cup? 9% of you have voted for Hull, 39% Liverpool, 42% Man United, 10% Southampton. Keep your votes coming in at Fan TV UK is our Twitter feed if you would like to register your vote. Who's going to win the EFL Cup? If you don't have a Twitter, but you'd still like to register your opinion or perhaps a question, join in at fantv.me is the email, and the Skype, if you want to call us, is Fan TV Channel. I'll drop my pen, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's time to get our first victims out here onto the lime green sofa. Please welcome Dave and Gareth. Dave and Gareth, everybody. Hello, Dave. How you doing? Dave, so you are a Tottenham fan?
I am.
Gareth, how you doing, baby bum cakes?
Yeah, good, mate.
Our
Good,
Swansea
mate.
supporter. Welcome to the lime green, my
Thank
friend.
you.
Awesome beardage going on there on the end.
Oh, man.
Look at that.
Thanks.
Absolute quality facial hair on the sofa tonight. Let's hear it for the facial hair. Okay.
Inadequate, to be honest.
No, not at all. Let it grow, though, Dave. Let it grow. Dave, let's talk Spurs first off. Harry Kane is the big news for you today. Yeah. You've finally managed to tie him down and secure his services for the next 6 years. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. I mean, I wasn't really worried, to be fair. He's come out many, many times and said how devoted to the club he is, how much he loves the club, how there's a family feel, and he wants to see us grow, and he wants to be there when we, ultimately start winning things and going on to bigger and better things. So I wasn't nervous that he wouldn't sign. It was just, I think the media probably made a lot more of it than was actually there, because 2 weeks later, there he is, signed a new contract.
Yeah.
So.
The extra money must have helped him as well.
I think money always helps people, do you know?
Well, they've broken the bank, Gareth, haven't they? Because obviously there is a strict sort of wage ceiling that Levy imposes at Tottenham. That's been shattered for the first time. He is now officially your most expensive player. By Tottenham standards, the new deal is massive. He'll be with you until 2022 and could eventually be paid more than £100,000 a week. That includes bonuses, I think, Dave, as well.
Yeah, so I think the way I see it is it's a deal that's structured very similar to the likes of Hugo Lloris, and there's certain targets you have to hit throughout the season in order to make sure that you're being paid the right amount and you're getting up to what you could earn. Because when you look at people like Vardy and you look at people like Sturridge who aren't getting into the England team ahead of him, you'd want to feel like you're getting paid the right amount, and I think Harry's now at the level where he's deserving of that much money.
Well, £100,000 a week, including bonuses, will now put him into the same bracket as fellow England strikers Jamie Vardy and Daniel Sturridge. Much surprise amongst the guys here earlier on that Jamie Vardy is on more than Harry Kane, even after Harry Kane has signed his new deal. I think Vardy's on 120 grand a week and Sturridge is on 140. So even though Tottenham have broken the bank, he's still on less than Leicester City's Jamie Vardy.
And Vardy's got a film as well.
He's got a film as well?
Yeah, they're making a film of his life as well, aren't they? So
unbelievable.
Is there anything that man can't do?
They're making a film of Jamie Vardy's life. What's it going to be about?
Vardy, the early years.
Who's going to be in it?
Well, I think they're open for casting.
They're open for casting?
Yeah. They're talking to Denzel for the role.
Okay, that's nice. I like that. Who will play Jamie Vardy in the upcoming film of Jamie Vardy's life? Tweet your suggestions to @FanTVUK or email your suggestions. Join in at fantv.me. Who do you think should play Jamie Vardy in the upcoming film of his life? Dave has got the ball rolling on that with a brilliant suggestion of Denzel Washington, which could at least, I would imagine, guarantee an Oscar nom. Gareth, who do you think should play Jamie Vardy in a film of his life?
Well, Mary Berry, because she's kind of out of, she's in no man's land at the moment with the Bake Off going, so, it's up for grabs.
Mary Berry is Jamie Vardy.
Yeah. Somebody should check on that, because you never see them in the same room at the same time. So
you've never seen them in the same room at the same time. Yeah. What a genius suggestion! Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness me! What a great way to start the show. Who would you? Can you top Denzel Washington or Mary Berry? Who's going to play Jamie Vardy? We put that out on the Twitter already, Mark. It's quite possibly the best Twitter question that Fan TV have ever posted. It's just actually forget the poll. Yeah, let's concentrate on who's going to play Jamie Vardy. So the first time, Dave, that Spurs have paid a player that amount of money outright. Now, you mentioned Lloris, lovely pronunciation. I always plump for Loris.
Yeah.
Loris.
Yeah.
But Loris or Lloris, is already paid 80 grand a week. And the rumour is today that he is soon to put pen to paper on a new deal himself. So do you think Levy will break the bank again in order to keep Lloris at the club?
I'd be shocked, but yeah, he'll have to. Simple. I mean, you saw against Chelsea, you saw against in the Champions League last week against Monaco just how good Lloris is, how important he is to the team, and how much he you know, he's our last man. He saves us more than any goalkeeper I can remember. You know, he's Espen Bårdsen was the goalkeeper when I first really started going, and you know, we've had a good tradition of goalkeepers, but never anybody is quite as exquisite as Lloris is between the sticks. You know. Can
you really see, just to go back to Harry Kane, because it's the massive story for Tottenham at the moment. The Golden Boot winner last year, 25 goals. You've exited Europe, much to your chagrin, I'm sure. Can you really see the likes of Harry Kane, if this form for him continues, if he can get close to 25 goals again or thereabouts, can you really see him staying at the club for another 6 years if European football is not going to be a guarantee?
I mean, Alan Shearer is a prime example of that, isn't it? He stayed at Newcastle for a long, long time.
Dave, we'll get the end of that answer after this short break. We'll be back in 2 minutes as Fan TV on Sky 212. Mary Berry. I can't imagine. Whoopi Goldberg to play Jamie Vardy? Welcome back to Fan TV. We are live on Sky 212 all the way till 9:30 tonight. I've got our Tottenham fan Dave and Gareth, our Swansea fan, on the lime green sofa. Dave sensationally revealed that a film is to be made on the life of Leicester City's Jamie Vardy. We're looking to cast the role. We've got a suggestion of Denzel Washington from Dave, a sensational suggestion of Mary Berry from Gareth. If you think you can top that, then tweet hashtag who should play Jamie Vardy. Probably too long a hashtag, but nonetheless, at FanTV UK is the Twitter if you'd like to tweet. If you don't have the newfangled Twitter system, then join in at fantv.me is the email if you'd like to register your opinion or your suggestions that way. FanTV channel is, of course, the Skype if you'd rather call us and be on the jumbo screen. Dave, so let's get your answer to the Harry Kane question. He signed for 6 years. Mm-hmm. Football is very fickle, we all know that. Can you honestly see him sticking around at Tottenham until 2022 if he's not playing European football. He's the current possessor of the Golden Boot, 25 goals last year.
I honestly can see him sticking around. It's whether Levy wants to cash in or not, I think.
Right.
But no, I can't see him kind of knocking on the manager's door and saying, I want to leave. I can't see him wanting to go anywhere else. You know, he's got everything that he needs there. He's got a fan base, he's got the support, he's got the structure.
Yeah.
You know, he's got literally kind of idol status. So why would he want to move on? Of course, that's me coming as a Tottenham fan, of course. But for me, he's got everything he needs and he wants. He's playing in the Premier League. He's at a club that love him and want him to be there. So and he loves that club. He's born and bred Tottenham fan. Yeah. Yes, there was the picture of an Arsenal fan when he in an Arsenal shirt when he played for them.
When he was a boy.
Yeah, exactly. We all make mistakes when we're kids, don't we?
Well, I mean, you say he's always been a Tottenham fan. He even dyed his hair red and white. Yeah. He wasn't just wearing a shirt, Dave.
Yeah.
Could he go back to Arsenal one day, Gareth, as a Swansea City supporter? Can you see it happening?
I'd like to think so. You know, we live in a world where it's open. You can go to wherever you want.
Absolutely. He'd more than likely go abroad, though, wouldn't he, if he was ever to actually leave Tottenham?
Yeah, I think Real or something like that would probably pop in with the cash.
Tottenham too.
Tottenham too.
Yeah, that's it. Dan, the Liga man will know all about that.
Yeah, he certainly will. Dan, if I can get a word in, he's always banging on about the Hammers. Gareth, let's talk Swansea. Slightly strange times at Swansea at the moment. You've got this American manager in the form of Bob Bradley.
Yeah.
He's got his first win. He's made history, the first American to win a match in the English Premier League. How do you think he's doing? Has he turned a corner?
I don't know. I mean, the Everton game, we got sucker punched at the end and it was a draw instead of... should have been the first win, but then last week's game was probably the most incredible game of football I've ever watched.
Really?
The 5-4 was just... I mean, it was... There's sort of pluses and negatives. It's like being run over by an ambulance. It's great that the fact that we've scored 5 goals. But if you're going to get hit by anything, make sure it's an ambulance.
Make sure it's an ambulance,
so it's plus negative.
How did that work out for you that time when that happened?
It killed me. But the fact that we scored 5 goals was great, but the fact that we conceded 4 goals, no offence to Palace, is a massive negative. And I think it's highlighted the fact that we haven't filled Williams' position.
Sure.
We're playing. I think as soon as we see the team sheet and like Neil Taylor's on there, we know that we're going to lose.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was a 5-4 thriller. I mean, a great game for a neutral,
great,
but your heart must have been in your mouth for pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, well, when you're 3-1 up and then you're 4-3 down, it's just, and we need the points. But it was great for the team because this sort of spirit to fight back was there. So that's the only bit of like hope. I mean, we've got Tottenham on the weekend. I'm not expecting much there, but if they can show the same sort of spirit and play some football rather than bend over, then...
Well, Tottenham's unbeaten run has, of course, just ended, courtesy of Chelsea. So this could be a good time for you to play.
Yeah, or they're just going to take it out on us.
Swansea have got 4 points on the road this year, and
there's a lot of draws you've had, isn't there? In this...
We've had a... So, I mean...
I'd take a point. Let's just say now, we'll have a point.
Yeah, fine. I mean,
so you'll be happy with the point? You won't be happy with the point?
No, of course not. No, I mean, like, yes, there's the whole 1 win in 10, but there is still the 1 loss all season that kind of balances that out.
Sure.
And, you know, if this is the Tottenham crisis being on 24 points at this stage of the season, exactly the same as what we were on last year at this stage of the season, then what a great crisis to have, you know.
Are you sensing that Tottenham will run riot on Swansea at the weekend?
I wouldn't say run riot, but...
I would.
No, I mean, if we can get the 4 goals that Palace had without conceding, I'd be happy, but... yeah, I mean, what, you know...
You've got to be happy to win that game 5-4, Gareth, but conceding 4 goals...
I mean, Palace aren't exactly prolific at the moment scoring, so that was... Especially when we thought we were losing. It was 89th minute, we're 4-3 down. When we were 3-1 up, hope had just disappeared. I mean, the fans were just leaving the stadium to go and get a pint. And then,
really?
Yeah, and then like 7 minutes later, we won the game.
It's never a good time to leave early, is it? It's never a great time to leave early. OK, we've got our first Skype caller of the night, all the way from Russia. It's Fan TV's Russian correspondent, Andrewski. Are you there, baby?
Hello, how are you doing, JLC?
I'm all the better for speaking to you, you lovely man. Andrewski, let me just say this to you. Bien, c'est bien! Bien, c'est bien! Which any of you Rocky 4 fans will know, it means to the end. Andrewski, how you doing, you lovely man? More beardage on the show as well. We've got some lovely hair foliage going on tonight. How cold is it where you are tonight?
Have you noticed the trim? I've had a trim today.
You are
especially
looking,
for you, Justin.
Andrewski, you are looking mighty fine. It almost wants to make me sing the Russian national anthem to you again. Andrewski, how cold is it where you are tonight, brother?
Pretty cold. I drove back through a snowstorm last night watching a Premier League game in Yekaterinburg, about 300 kilometres away. I sometimes question my sanity, I'll be honest, going all that way for a pretty dreary match. And it's all right. It's about -10, so pretty warm. It's all right.
So, Andrewski, you went to Ekaterinburg, is it? How was that for pronunciation?
Yekaterinburg.
Perfect. And you travelled there in a Siberian blizzard. Tell us about that.
Say again, so?
You travelled there in a Siberian blizzard.
Well, yeah, it was. It's a 5-hour journey, and the match finished at about 9 o'clock. By the time we'd been to the press conference, it was 10 o'clock. So 3 a.m. driving through a Siberian blizzard. It was like, do you remember Windows 95? You had those screensavers where it looked like you were, kind of Space Invaders, where the white dots are coming at you of the screen. It was a real-life cinema 3D experience of that, and you can't see what's in front of you or behind. So it's a bit of a hair-raising experience getting back, but all in the name of Russian football, so worth it.
And it was worth the trip, was it, Andrewski?
Well, it was. Ural, the home team, won their first game in 4 months. High suspicions of it being fixed. Rostov, who obviously beat Bayern last week, they rested pretty much their entire team. Excessively so, really, ahead of the PSV game next week. That's a really big game for Russian footy. Everybody's looking forward to.
Yes.
All they need to do is just draw that game, and they're through to the Europa League, which for Rostov, they really are the Leicester of Russia. So for them to be in Europe at all is amazing. But Ural beat them. So, using football maths, Justin.
Yes, sir.
If Rostov beat Bayern 3-2, Ural Yekaterinburg beat Rostov, that means Ural are officially better than Bayern Munich, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like it. Andrewski, can you see Rostov getting that result next week, though, brother?
I honestly can. They're a side absolutely perfectly set up to, to contain teams that have more possession than them. They play 3 at the back brilliantly. And I'll throw out one name for everybody who, in my opinion, should be touted for a transfer. Dmitry Polos, 25-year-old Russian. He's rapid, lightning quick, perfect for counter-attack stuff. And like I say, they've rested all their players this week, so they're focusing entirely on this game. And in the qualifiers, they drew away to Ajax, so they've proven they can get a result away from home. So I'm pretty confident about this one.
Andrewski, can I ask you about another player that I've been hearing a Broomer about today? Broomer! A nice group of Broomer on the floor, thank you. Andrewski, is it Sardar Azmoun?
Sardar Azmoun, yes.
Now, he's admitted today he would be open to a move to Liverpool.
Yeah, it's he's the sort of character who you wouldn't imagine is going to stay loyal to any particular club for a long time. He's only 21, or so he will be 21 in January. And he's already walked out of one club, Rubin Kazan, to force a move through to Rostov.
Okay.
And he's basically, this is his moment to get a transfer. He's not a massive goal scorer. Personally, I don't think he's best suited to Liverpool. I think this Dmitry Polos I'm speaking about, I think he would be better suited. He's got more pace and more versatility. But he's the best header of the ball after Ronaldo that I've seen in European football. And I mean that sincerely about Azmoun. He is honestly fantastic in the air. And, he's got about 16 goals for Iran already at international level. So, it could be an interesting Broomer, that one.
Well, in the Champions League, he's already scored against Madrid and Bayern Munich this season.
Say again, say?
This season in the Champions League, he's scored against Atletico Madrid and Bayern Munich already.
Well, yeah, he's a big game player. He's got a very, very cool head. And against Bayern Munich, his goal was it was like a lightning-quick counter-attack. Polos fed him through, and he still had Jerome Boateng to deal with. Made Boateng look an absolute muppet, turned him inside out. Cool finish. It's the sort of game where they had about 30% possession, so he knew this. If he didn't take this chance, that was it. So huge pressure on him, and he finished it so coolly. So, good potential.
OK, Andrewski, we've got to go. Lovely to speak to you again, brother. We'll speak to you again hopefully next week.
Awesome, will do.
Bien, c'est bien. Take care of Andrewski, everybody. Listen, we're rapidly approaching our next break. The show is going to fly tonight as a Hotline Green sofa. For the first time this evening, let's launch I'll Have a Foul, Please. Have a look at this. We're looking for the name of a famous footballer involved in a fouling incident. So for the first time tonight, can I have a vowel, please? It's an O there, Gareth, from the second name of this footballer. Based on that humble O, any idea the name of the footballer we're looking for? 30 seconds before the break, and I think we've actually got to say goodbye to Dave and Gareth now as well. I'm absolutely devastated. It's nowhere near long enough. 30 seconds to go, Gareth. I want to briefly ask you very quickly, Bob Bradley, now that he's got his first win, can Swansea now push on?
I think so, yeah. I think we can.
Give us a score prediction for Tottenham at the weekend.
2-2.
2-2, Dave.
Ooh, Tottenham 2, Swansea City soccer team 0.
OK, we'll be back after this. Bye-bye, Dave. Bye-bye, Gareth. See you in 2. Welcome back to Fan TV. We are live on Sky 212, Facebook Live, and of course YouTube if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Don't forget to refresh at the top of every hour because we don't want to lose you. We've got a couple more awesome guests coming up very shortly. Here's what's coming up in the next hour and a half here on Fan TV. In just a few moments, it's time for Sunderland and Fulham chat with the lovely Lewis and the awesome Matthew. It really is the dream team tonight. It's like the greatest hits. Come on. Then at 8:30, my friend and yours, Dan the Liga man, is live here in the studio once more alongside Friday Night Defector. He's back with me, Dream Team, the one and only Mr. Stephen Copping. And at 9 o'clock, Kenny Ken will be kicking off with his weekly rant. I wait with bated breath to find out what he's going to rattle on about this week with those 24-inch pythons. While on the lime green sofa, it'll be the turn of Arsenal man Taylor and his Liverpool mate Owen, taking us up to 9:30. That's what's still to come on Fan TV tonight. So taking us through the next half hour, it's time to welcome back to the lime green our Sunderland friend Lewis and another friend of the show, the lovely Fulham fan Matthew. Come on, you lovely boys. More facial hair. I love it. Oh my goodness, it's like a dream. Matthew, good to see you again. And before we get into the chat, we've got a tweet in. Let's have a look at this. Let's see this tweet. Who's this from? This is from Luke O'Dell. It's Ginger Luke, everybody. The only man that can save Swansea City at the moment is Rick Astley, because he will. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. Lovely from Ginger Luke. He gets us all Rick rolling. That is lovely. And a couple of your suggestions for who's gonna play Jamie Vardy in the film of his life, courtesy David Walker, friend of the show. We love you, David. He's recovering from a major op. Get well soon, brother. We look forward to having you back on the show. Look no further. Dig him up. Albert Steptoe. Hashtag dirty old man. Hashtag Jamie Vardy film. Quality there from David Walker, tweeting from the man cave. And this is from Dan La Liga man. Has to be The Rock to play Jamie Vardy. Dan is quality. Absolute quality. Do you know what? It could be The Rock. He's playing everything else. Every remake that's being made at the moment. The Rock is going to be in the remake of Big Trouble in Little China. So, Jumanji's doing everything, The Rock. Lewis, Matthew, let's talk football. Lewis, our sensational Sunderland fan, coming off the back of 2 back-to-back wins. You must have been feeling good going into that Liverpool game.
I knew coming back from the confidence of the Hull and the Bournemouth result, which we didn't expect.
Yeah.
We set up very defensively because I think if we got a point from that, that would have been a fantastic result.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of positives to take from that game, and we've got Leicester at home at the Stadium of Light, and I think that's a doable result. I think 3 points is on the cards because obviously Leicester are not performing well in the Premier League, and we've got Swansea next. After that, it's looking good. We've after the start of the season, we had 2 points from the previous games. Now we're not out of the woods, but we've seemed to have found the North Star.
Here is, very nice. You seem to have found the North Star. Do you agree with Lewis? If you're a Sunderland fan and you're watching right now, tweet us, email us, get in touch. Here is the standout stat from the game. You know I love a stat.
Yeah.
Here's the standout stat from Sunderland-Liverpool for me, and I find this absolutely unbelievable. Liverpool had 80% possession in the first half.
Yeah.
Now, I've done the maths on this, and I think that leaves roughly 20% possession for you in the first half.
I think you're right.
That's indefensible, isn't it?
Yeah, well, defensible.
Touch me.
Yeah, exactly.
That is lovely. 20% possession first half?
Yeah.
How can you justify that?
Well, I think, you see Liverpool are just so free scoring. So we set up with the idea to get a point. And Jurgen Klopp said that was the most defensive team he's ever seen.
Yes, he
Which
did.
I would take that as a compliment. Because
Really?
Liverpool have scoring six goals. Was it against Hull or somebody?
Watford, I believe.
Watford, yes. And the only time they haven't scored this season was against Southampton, and they defended brilliantly. I think after 75 minutes, what Sunderland's problem has been in the past is not conceding.
Yeah.
They've only got one clean sheet the entire season. That was against Hull. But 75 minutes to not concede against Liverpool, I think it was a sterling effort.
So do you think, after getting those 2 back-to-back wins, you know, alleviating some of the pressure off of Moyes, I'm sure, did David Moyes say to his players, this is what I want you to do today, lads. You go out there and you concede as few goals as possible. I don't want us to lose this game, you know, 6-1 or 4-0.
He said in the interview before to park the double-decker bus, which is obviously a Mourinho tactic. But I think that would have, to get a point from Liverpool and the two wins from Hull and Bournemouth would have propelled us to do much better in the season. I think that would have taken us off the foot of the table pending the Swansea result, which we were off the bottom briefly for one game. But I think there was a lot of positives to take from that.
Let me ask you, Matthew, if it had been Fulham playing Liverpool, if Klopp had have said about you that your team was the most defensive team he'd ever seen in his life, would you take that as a compliment?
I would, yeah, because every game is different. You know, you go into a game wanting to win, but if the circumstances change and you want to draw, you think we can't win this game, and you want to defend and you do your job, then that's absolutely fine. You know, the most defensive team I've ever seen. That says to your defenders, your back 4, back 5, that you've done your job correctly. It doesn't matter that you haven't scored or anything, but you've got a point out of that. Should you not concede? Obviously, you've got at least a point. But yeah, it's absolutely a good thing. Absolutely.
So just to go back to Moyes' position at the moment, the 2 back-to-back wins, of course, great. You don't think the board or the fans are looking at the result against Liverpool and allowing that to inform their opinion of David Moyes and the job he's doing at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I think, well, right at the beginning of the season, when we got 2 points from 9 games, that some Sunderland fans were calling for his head. I mean, I have no idea what happened to that team. Maybe they were just trying to still adhere to Moyes' philosophy, the style of his play still remitting over Sam Allardyce's departure. Or I have no idea, like replaced Lucas-Aid with Semolina or something. I have no idea what's happened to that beginning of the season. But the 2-1 against Bournemouth and the introduction of Victor Anichebe, who thought that he was going to be Sunderland's saviour in these 3 games? I mean, the Bournemouth match, he played 45 minutes with a cracked rib, sorry.
Yeah. Wouldn't you have liked to have seen your team attack Liverpool, though, Lewis? You'd like to see them go at them?
A little bit. I was watching the match, and we had the better of the chances. Yeah. In the first half, especially. Duncan Watmore had a chance.
Even though you only had 20% possession?
Yeah. We had Duncan Watmore had a fantastic chance. I think Jermaine Defoe also had a decent effort, but. It was counter-attacking football. When you've got a big man up top and then you've got somebody with the calibre of Jermaine Defoe to feed off, I think it's really good.
Well, on Defoe has scored or assisted 75% of Sunderland's goals this season. If you didn't have Defoe, where would you be right now?
Below Fulham, I think.
How lucky are you to have him?
I think the deal to get Josie Altidore for Jermaine Defoe has to go down. It's like one of the best deals in the history of Premier League. It's phenomenal.
Here's the thing I can't believe. Jermaine Defoe has never played for a proper top 4 club. Never. Never. Played for Tottenham, of course, but we're talking a proper top 4 club. Defoe's never played for one. That might rub Tottenham fans up the wrong way, I'm sure. But if you're a Tottenham fan, what do you think about that comment? Get in touch.
But he's still got 150 goals in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
And that just says the calibre, how much of a talent he is.
For someone who's 4'11", that's absolutely astonishing.
He's 4'11".
Maybe 4'11 and a half. I haven't measured him recently.
Squeezed in.
He's just signed on to play Barbara Windsor in the biopic of Real Life. Let me very briefly, Matthew, this is what your manager had to say. We offer them something this season. It's not enough, and we're not satisfied, and we're not happy. We need to push hard and try and improve our level. We know we cannot be sawe're
on to the sexy times talk again, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, yeah.
That's 2 shows in a row we've had.
Djukanovic and his sexy talk. We're racing rapidly toward the break, but that was his comment. He issued a statement talking about the where you're at the moment. Very briefly, we've got 30 seconds to the break. What do you think of that statement?
I think it's understandable because we had a very good start to the season, so obviously everyone's expectations got a little bit high. Considering where we were at the start of the season, everyone just wanted sort of 17th security.
Yeah.
But after the good start and then the disappointing drop-off, it is obviously we need to manage expectations, but there is also, we could be pushing on a little bit further.
So is that sort of statement, though, very briefly, is it really necessary? Because it is just stating the obvious, isn't it?
I think it is, but there, everyone says the obvious in football. There are some times when cliches aren't needed.
Yeah.
Just to say the obvious, even though no one else is saying it.
Okay, just before the break, we'll be back with the boys on the sofa very, very shortly, of course. For the second time tonight, I'll have a foul, please. We've got a humble O so far, so for the second time this evening, can I have another vowel, please? Take a look at this, guys. It's is that another O? We've got 2 O's. Lewis, Matthew, any idea the name of the footballer that we're looking for this evening?
It ends in an O, so it must be Italian.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Good shout there from Matthew. Very nice. Matthew's on fire tonight.
No, nothing yet.
Not a clue.
No, nothing
Lewis,
yet.
not a clue from Lewis. If you think you know, then join in at fantv.me is the email. If you've got the newfangled Twitter approach, then you can tweet at FanTVUK, hashtag foul, please. Or Skype, call us, give us an answer, talk about your team. It's your show. It really is all about you. Fan TV channel is the Skype to call. I'll be asking for another vowel very shortly. But now we've got another break. I'll be back with lovely Lewis and a sensational Matthew in 2 short minutes. Don't go anywhere. It's Fan TV on Sky 212. Good times. Thanks. Who would you cast as Jamie Vardy? I know too. Welcome back to Fan TV. We are live on Sky 212. I've got lovely Lewis and the awesome Matthew on the lime green sofa. It's a hot show. Get in touch. Fan TV channel is the Skype. Join in at fantv.me is the email. And the Twitter is at FanTVUK. We've got another Skype caller. It's lovely Nick. Are you there, sweet baby bum cakes?
Yes, I am. How you guys doing?
Nick, you lovely man. Let's hear it for Nick. Our Manchester City fan, you are playing Chelsea on Saturday. It's a battle of the top 3. How do you think you're going to do, Nick?
6-pointer.
I'm definitely a little worried about the game. Chelsea have been so informed. I think they went 3-0 in the month of November. They look unstoppable. The fact that the game's in Manchester is probably the only saving grace right now for City.
Nick, our Fulham fan Matthew on the sofa with me tonight just said it's a 6-pointer. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I would equate it very similarly to the game 2 years ago when Lampard scored the equalizer when City were down to 10 men. City really needed that game to stay in the title hunt, and I think they need to at least get a draw out of this one. Losing is not an option.
It's a brilliant season, Nick, and certainly for a neutral or if you're a fan of a lower league side like myself, it's so tight at the top. It couldn't be any tighter, really, could it?
No, I wish that I could enjoy some of these games. Seeing the City-Chelsea game from a neutral perspective must be an amazing thing. But for me, it's nothing but heartache and heartburn for the rest of the week. Oh, my
goodness. You need some Rennies. Try Rennies if you've got a dose of heartburn there, Nick. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. You seem pained. I mean, you're flying high. You're doing fantastic under Pep. Is it really this painful being a Manchester City fan at the moment?
So painful.
So painful, says Lewis, our Sunderland fan.
You guys should have drew with us the first game of the season. You guys were robbed of a point in that first game against City, Sunderland fan. But it's not that it's difficult. It's just that, I personally think that we should be better than we currently are. We drew against Middlesbrough. We had some bad draws in the month of October. And I think that there's always room for improvement when you're not at the top.
So if there's room for improvement, where do you need to improve, Nick? What improvements do Manchester City need to make if they're going to win the title this season, if they're going to beat Chelsea, other title contenders on Saturday?
I mean, the obvious one is the defense. We haven't kept a clean sheet in God knows how long. I think we only have one in the league on this year, maybe two. And they were against teams like Stoke and Bournemouth. If we want to really challenge for the title, keeping clean sheets, especially at home, is going to be key down the stretch, I feel.
So what's your prediction then for the weekend, Nick?
I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet this weekend. I'm going to say 2-2, but if we let in more than 2, and Chelsea can definitely score 3 or more, we're in trouble.
Chelsea have got a very good defensive record. I'm amazed. Yeah. I'm amazed you reckon that City will score 2 against Chelsea. That's a very good defense they're going up against.
Absolutely.
I'm really hoping that Kevin De Bruyne and Sergio Aguero can drag them to 2 goals. That's really what City are banking on in this one.
I'd go for maybe a 1-1 more than a 2-2 if it is going to be a draw. I can't see Chelsea conceding
I don't think City can hold Chelsea to 1 goal, to be honest. The way the defense is playing without Vincent Kompany, if Stones and Otamendi and Kolarov are at the back, I think that Costa and Hazard and Pedro will have a field day.
Lewis, do you think it's got a draw written all over it?
I think so, yeah. Is it at Stamford Bridge?
No, it's in Manchester.
I think it'll be a draw.
Lewis thinks it's going to be a draw. Would you be happy with a point then, Nick?
Yeah, I'd be happy with a point. The form that Chelsea are on right now, and the way Costa and Hazard are playing and scoring, and the way the defense is playing, especially the way they played against Tottenham, last week? Yes, I'd be very happy with a draw, considering that we struggled to beat Burnley last week.
Were you troubled by what you saw in the Tottenham game, Nick? Do you just think, in simple terms, Chelsea are just a better side than Manchester City at the moment?
Yeah, right now I would say that they're playing better, especially since Tottenham smashed us, even though that game was at White Hart Lane. I think Chelsea's no doubt playing better right now, but I think City has the talent to take ahead of them and go ahead of them. And a week off in between games, which is something that's very underrated, which City haven't had in a long time, hopefully can be beneficial.
Nick, finally, don't you think Manchester City have the firepower to exploit Chelsea's 3 at the back system?
Yeah, absolutely, but Chelsea's got 3 of the best defenders in the league right now. I mean, Azpilicueta and David Luiz, they're playing incredible. Hopefully Pep has a game plan that can exploit that 3 at the back. Hopefully we see good wing play, whether it's from Sterling or Sane or Nolito. But yeah, I definitely think that City can exploit it, and I think Pep's the manager to exploit it if City are to have any success.
Nick, great to speak to you. Just very briefly, they're making a film of Jamie Vardy's life. Who do you think should play him in that biopic?
Ben Affleck.
Nice, Ben Affleck, lovely. Quality shout. Let's hope he does a better job of that than he did of Batman. Let's update the Twitter poll. But shocking, this battle, shocking. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. Let's remind ourselves of the question and how you're voting so far. Who's going to win the EFL Cup? 11% of you have gone for Hull, 38% Liverpool, 42% Man United, only 9% Southampton. Keep the votes coming in at FanTV UK is the Twitter. Lewis, have you voted? And if so, who would you vote for? Who did you
I
vote
would
for?
probably go with United as well. But I'm very surprised that people think that Hull have got more of a chance than Southampton.
It's an interesting one.
I went for Liverpool personally because I think it'll be Liverpool Man United in the final, and I reckon Klopp can maybe sneak it then.
Okay, let's keep your votes coming in. Let's briefly focus on Liverpool for a minute because, of course, as a Wales fan, they have got a sensational young talent in the form of Ben Woodburn.
And sensational is the issue I want to take, and I want to address the camera here.
Okay, stand back, everybody.
Can everyone, on the subject of Ben Woodburn, calm down? I know I'm talking about Liverpool. Calm down. He's played less than half an hour of competitive football this year, and already we're getting talks of him playing for England. About, he's registered for Wales, but can he play for England? Can we calm down? He's 17 years old and he's played less than half an hour of football and scored a tap-in against a championship club. This is something that's happened, and I've got a list here. I have a list.
He's just flopped out a list.
I want to ring off these names for you. Freddie Adu. Do you remember him? Federico Makeda. Adnan Januzaj to an extent. Michael Johnson. Freddie Eastwood. Scott Sinclair. Ezekiel Friars. Ravel Morrison. Francis Jeffers, who Arsene Wenger paid £8 million for at 20 years old. Gael Kakuta, who was so important to Chelsea that they nearly had a transfer ban as a result of him. And last but not least, Neil Mellor. These are the players who have been hyped up over the years to be the next big thing and have produced nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. As a Welshman, I want Ben Woodburn to succeed. I want every Welsh player to succeed and Wales to have a great squad. But he's played half an hour. Calm down, everyone. OK? Justin, back to you.
Unbelievable, Matthew.
Strong stuff.
So, listen, I take everything you've said there so eloquently on board, but Ben Woodburn, can he play for England?
Well, he can. Well, I mean, he can if he wants to choose the lesser nation, but... If he wants an easy ride into international football, then yes. But if he wants to tough it out against actual decent, face stern competition, then he should go for Wales, where he'll actually be a good player.
Ben Woodburn, though, Lewis, he set a record, though, the youngest player now ever to score for Liverpool. He's literally just turned 17. 17 and a month. That's amazing. You've got to concede that.
Here's another one on youngest goal scorers. James Vaughan is the youngest goal scorer in Premier League history. Thank you. Calm it down.
Okay, but is he right for England?
Ben Woodburn.
Ben Woodburn.
No, and I'll tell you why. And it's something. There's a conspiracy theory going around. The reason he wears 58 for Liverpool, and there's a movement going on about Welsh fans, which is the spirit of 58, which is when we went to the World Cup in 58.
Okay.
There's a conspiracy that the reason he chose 1958 is because of that reason, and that's why he's never going to play for England.
Lewis, can Ben Woodburn ever play for England?
I think he's a future star. I think it's going to be a case of future England. Maybe beat Rooney's record.
Yes.
I think it's a given.
I'm with you,
I've
Lewis.
seen nothing but talent
this
from
whole
that
number
kid.
58 thing, it's a nonsense.
It's nonsense.
It's
58 is how many goals he's going to score for England, I assume. Is that your theory?
A little bit more.
Lewis, have you got a list you can whop out for us?
I really haven't. Not a list that can be shown on camera.
Matthew, that was sensational.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Sunderland, of course. Next up, you've got Leicester, Lewis, as you mentioned earlier. This is the type of game that you really do need to focus on, because if you are going to stay up under David Moyes, you're going to be looking for at least a point out of this game, aren't you?
I think we should be aiming for 3 points. Okay. Leicester are in a very bad position at the moment, particularly in the Premier League. They've already qualified for the Champions League, so they can put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
The problem is that I think it's during the break of the Champions League. They've got Champions League the week after. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
And the match that will be critical, as I was saying, is the Swansea match at Swansea. I think
So that's a six-pointer.
It's a six-pointer this early in the season. We're talking a lot of six-pointers, like 12, 13 games in.
Absolutely.
It's quite scary.
Just briefly, Matthew, Ben Woodburn, will he play for England?
Do they still have the England schoolboys system, like in the way that Ryan Giggs played for England?
I'm not sure.
Back in the 90s. Do they still have the England schoolboys?
They do, Matthew.
So yes, he can play for England if he's still in school, which I don't know if he is. He's 17. Could be in college. There's a chance. There's a chance.
Lewis, how do you fancy a sensational Broomer?
I'll go for it.
Broomer! Sunderland could go after Arsenal's Carl Jenkinson in January.
After that show last night, no, they won't.
That's a world class. Well, we've already got 3 right backs on the books. Billy Jones is, I think he's playing very well since he's been slotted back into the squad. Denier can play right back, and we've got the a couple of under 23 players.
John O'Shea can play right back as well, so make that 4.
Yeah, true.
Where's Brown? Make that 5.
Anywhere. No, we're released Wes Brown. But there's a lot of players. I don't think it's the area that we need to strengthen.
Sure.
Yeah. I think we need a playmaker in the midfield.
Based on Carl Jenkinson's performances for Arsenal, though, would you want him? Do you think he should even be considered?
Not really. I don't think so. I'm surprised Arsene Wenger didn't already let him go in the summer. It was very, very surprising. I mean, he's only in the squad due to injury.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's not really performing that well in a very talented Arsenal squad.
OK, Matthew, less than a minute left. You've got Reading up next. They're flying high. They're currently 3rd. Do you think you're going to struggle?
Yes, I think we will, because that's been the inconsistency of Fulham this season. But, you know, and Jaap Stam has got a very good side. He's going to be... I'm talking about sensations here. Jaap Stam is going to be a very good manager.
Just as
Calm down. He's not going to be that good, but he's going to be a good manager.
OK, thanks to Lewis and thanks to Matthew. You heard it here first. Ben Woodburn will play for England. We have to take another break. Let's hear it for Lewis and Matthew. We'll be back in 2 with Dan, Levy Gaman and Stephen Copping. See you in a minute. Oh, thank you, boys. I think Barbara Windsor do a... Anyway, welcome back to Fan TV. We are live on Sky 212 all the way till 9:30 tonight. Before we bring Dan and Stephen Copping onto the lime green sofa, let's do a cheeky menu rundown. Here's what's still to come on tonight's show on Fan TV. It's 8:30, which means we're off to sunny Spain. Except we're not. He's actually here. It's Dan, the Liga man. On the sofa with Tarrant Defector, the sensational maestro, Stephen Copping. We'll be talking non-league and perhaps a little bit of Chelsea. At 9 o'clock, Kenny Ken will be ranting for at least 5 minutes. If you've got something else to be doing, that's probably the best time to do it, because he'll be going on for ages. But don't go too far, because on the lime green sofa, it'll be the turn of Arsenal man, Taylor Swift, and his Liverpool mate, Owen, taking us up to 9:30. That's what's coming up right now. Please welcome to Fan TV stalwarts, Dan, the Liga man, and non-league expert Stephen Copping. Sensational bearded. You lovely man. Always a pleasure, never a chore. How you doing, sir? Absolute pleasure to see you, Stephen. Now, I haven't stopped talking about this since before we even came on air, and we were talking about it just during the break. Can we just start with Real Madrid and the 17-year-old wonder kid, Martin Odegaard? He made his debut for Real. What did you make of it, Dan?
Well, as debuts go, it doesn't really get much better, does it? I mean, the opposition may have only been a second division cup game, but what a way to impress and what a way to endear yourself to the Bernabeu faithful. Well,
compared to Zinedine Zidane by Matt in the gallery, one of our team here, too early to make that comparison, or do you see elements of Zidane about his game?
There's certainly elements there, because there was much fanfare when he was brought to club as a 15-year-old. It's taken him sort of 2 seasons to get to the sort of debut. Many felt that he might have been perhaps gone to Real Madrid too early, it might have stunted his development, but now he's starting to really sort of shine, and yesterday was perfect proof of that.
Have they already found their replacement for Ronaldo?
Possibly. I mean, they're perhaps not the same kind of player, and it's still... I mean, Ronaldo could probably play at the club for another 10 years, so there's probably a scenario where they'll play in the same team. But, you know, he could be the heir apparent to Ronaldo.
Just remind us, Dan, who were Real Madrid playing?
They were playing Cultural Leonesa, a second division Spanish team.
Cultural Leonesa. If you haven't seen it, go online and look out for Martin Odegaard for Real Madrid, making his debut at the age of 17. Phenomenal. The best debut I think I've ever seen on the telly. Stephen, how about you? What did you think?
I didn't see it.
Okay. You're in for a treat. You are in for an absolute treat. Before we talk some non-league action, let's start with El Clasico, Dan. On Saturday, any surprise team news coming out of Spain?
I think the big story is Iniesta. Will he start? They're going to try and give him as much time to get as fit as he can be. He's been out for... I think it's about 4 or 5 weeks now, so they are sort of sweating on his fitness. It's a massive game for Barcelona. I mean, it's always a massive game, but it's huge for Barcelona now, the fact they're 6 points behind. So that's the key for Barcelona. For Real Madrid, there's no Gareth Bale. He's out long-term absence. No Toni Kroos. Again, also long-term absence. So Barcelona have probably got the stronger side, but Real Madrid are sort of... They're steps ahead at the moment. So it's...
How long for Bale? Any news on...
I think it's going to be about 4 months.
Is it really?
So he could be back in time for their title run-in if need be, but Real Madrid could have it sewn up by then. So it's a big blow, but they've got enough to sort of carry them through.
Madrid are now 6 points clear.
That's right, yep.
Who's any serious contenders for them? Who do you think is they need to be concerned about?
Well, I think it's Barcelona, really. If Barcelona can win on Saturday, the gap's then cut to 3, and then it's sort of game on again. But, I mean, it's almost Real Madrid are in the position where they don't have to necessarily win on Saturday. They've still... They can come away with a point. They've still got the 6-point buffer.
Yeah.
Atletico, they're 9 points behind. So I think if Atletico were to win against Espanyol and Real Madrid were to lose, it slightly lets them back in and makes it perhaps a 3-horse race. But I think Real, they're almost sort of wrapping up already.
But without Bale?
I think, yeah, without Bale. I mean, they've not lost a game in 32 matches. I think they are invincible at the moment. Barcelona, by their own standards, aren't playing as well, but there's not a crisis for Barcelona. They've dropped points where perhaps last season or the season before they would have won. But I think Real Madrid are just coasting at the moment.
32 matches unbeaten, Stephen.
Unbelievable.
That's sensational. And of course, we've been going on about Arsenal's unbeaten run just being ended. They've lost their first game in 20. Liverpool are now unbeaten in 15, but unbeaten in 32. That's insane.
Yeah, they're just brushing everyone apart, really. They've been they're just the gold standard in Spanish football at the moment.
But does that say anything about the general standard of La Liga, or is it just the case that Real Madrid are simply just the best club in the world?
I think it's a little bit of A and a little bit of B, really. I think the Spanish league is often criticised because we always look at it as a 2, sometimes 3-horse race.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like the Premier League where on any given day any team could beat anyone. I think there are going to be games where teams will roll over to Real Madrid. We've seen instances where last season Real Madrid beat Sporting Gijón like 10-1 at home. So, you know, the league isn't as strong, but they have been an incredibly good team to watch this season, and the way they're playing has been worthy of their performances.
With the English Premier League being so tight at the moment and the standard so high, I mean, you've got certainly 4 clubs at least in the running for the title. If Real Madrid were playing this current side in the English Premiership at the moment, how well would they be doing? Would they be 32 games unbeaten?
Not 32, but I would reckon they would win the league. I think
easily, or
not easily. They'd obviously get more tests, obviously, because there are harder games week in, week out. But I still think their squad are still a touch above, say, a Man City or a Chelsea. I still think they'd go on and win a Premier League.
And just very briefly before we move on to non-league, after that game, to go back to the 17-year-old wonder kid, the eyes of the world are going to be on this guy now, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think he'll have to be sort of managed. I don't think he'll be sort of chucked into like El Clasico on Saturday. It'll be a gradual process because the talent is there and they don't want to sort of burn him out. So I think it's kid gloves, if you pardon the pun, because he is 17, but it's definitely one to watch for the future.
OK, let's talk non-league football. Stephen, the FA Cup second round. Let's start with Macclesfield Town versus Oxford United.
Yeah, this is a TV game, so Macclesfield are going to get a £72,000 bonanza if they win or lose. And for that little club, it's a lot of money. That would probably save their season, to be honest. They're in financial woes. £72,000. That's a lot of money for a TV game.
So live on telly,
live on BT, 7:55 tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 72 grand. That's huge.
It is for them. It is for them. They're really struggling to pay players, and most of their players have got full-time jobs and do part-time football in their national league.
They're at home, of course, against Oxford. How do you think they'll do, really?
They're both sort of mid-table teams. I'd expect a home win there.
Yeah. OK, let's move on to Blackpool versus Brackley Town.
Yeah, mighty crestfallen Blackpool struggling against Brackley, non-league side. Wow, that would be an upset, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What's happened to Blackpool? What's going on up there?
Finances. Talk to anybody who follows Blackpool. It's all about the ownership and the club. It's been terrible, hasn't it? It's been a shock for them. I remember watching them in Premier League not that long ago.
Absolutely. Ian Holloway, of course, took them up.
Brilliant. What a manager, yeah. He
phenomenal.
Was. Yeah, what a manager. He's now at QPR, of course.
I know, unbelievable. But that's football, isn't it? You know, Ollie comes in, takes Blackpool up to the Premiership, does wonderful things, not just for the club, but for the city as a whole. And now they're playing Brackley Town on Saturday afternoon.
They've got a midfield player, Brackley Town, who keeps scoring goals. He scored a hat-trick against Gillingham. Armson, his name. He's only 26, and a lot of people are saying that he could probably jump into professional leagues. Watch out for him.
They beat Gillingham 4-3 in the last round.
Yeah, that's right. That was a shock.
Let's move on to Luton Town versus Solihull Moors.
Solihull Moors, not many people know about them. They're a National League side. They've got a new manager in who just took over recently. His first game, he won the FA Cup first round game. And they've just drafted in John Dean, who's a former Norwich City manager.
OK.
Just to give him a little bit of helping hand, because this manager's only 31 years of age, I should say. So that'll be an interesting game. The Hatters doing well in the league. They're 5th, getting better and better every season, Luton. So I expect a home win.
Solihull Moors are already on their best ever FA Cup run.
They're in dreamland.
Yeah. As a general point, before we move on to the FA Vase third round, what can a good FA Cup run mean for a non-league side?
It can make or break them. I mean, it can make the difference between them signing 3 or 4 players next season as well. So it can really elevate them up the leagues. A bit like Eastleigh have done really well lately, and they've got new investors into the club.
Beat Swindon in the previous round.
That's right, yeah. And it does mean a lot. I mean, they get TV coverage. Same as Macclesfield, it can mean a hell of a lot if they can get through to the next round as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just moving on briefly to the FA Vase. Third round, North Shields versus Shildon. Now, the FA Vase, of course, is for all clubs competing in Step 5 to Step 8 football. That's right.
Yeah, that's lower. This is really lower league stuff. I mean, this is level 9 or 10, they used to call it in the old days.
Right.
And this is North East football at its very best. North Shield's flying away at top of the league, 5 points clear. Shildon in 4th, but a home win, no doubt about that.
Are they well supported, North Shields?
They had almost a 3,000 crowd against South Shields, who were in 2nd place in the league a couple of weeks ago in another game.
That's for a non-league derby.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
That is. That's huge. 3,000 fans went to see that game.
And we've got North Shields, I should say, against Shildon is live on nonleaguelive.net. Little plug there, Jay.
Okay, well, very nice indeed.
Thanks very much.
In the National League, we've only got a minute to the break, so very briefly before we talk a little bit of Chelsea and other things. In the National League, we've got Tranmere versus York City.
Yeah, what are these two great sides doing in these leagues? I mean, shock horror, they're still there. And York City, 2nd from bottom. They're going to get relegated if they don't do something really quick. They are really struggling in the league. Yeah. So and Tranmere are flying. I think they've won 7 out of the last 9, so they're flying. That's a home win for sure. Okay, home win for Tranmere. Thank you, Stephen. Dan, did you not get the memo about the clipboard? What's going on?
No, sorry, man. Left one behind.
She left the clipboard behind. Unbelievable. We've got 30 seconds to the break, so I don't think we've got time for another vowel, but we will give you another vowel for I'll Have a Foul, Please. After the break, we'll be back on the Lime Green sofa with Stephen Copping and Dan, La Liga man. And trust me, during the break, we will be talking about the 17-year-old Martin Odegaard, who Real Madrid signed in January 2015. And they're already saying he's the replacement for Ronaldo. Unbelievable. And I'm going to touch Dan's beard. We'll be back in 2. Don't go anywhere. It's Fan TV. Oh, I love it.
Has not stopped all break. He's been going. Look, get off, Justin. Just get off.
I'm sorry, Dan. Best beardage on tonight
Best
so
beard
far.
in the business, that is.
Best beard in the business. Dan, the Liga man. Now remember, there is always football action going on somewhere in the world, and here on Fan TV, we keep an eye on all of it for you. QPR are playing Wolves in the Championship, and to be honest, it's a bit rubbish, that game. So we've been keeping an eye on a much better game for you in the Bolivian Liga de Football. It just rolls off my tongue. Pablo Escobar has scored twice to put the strongest 2-0 up against Guabira. Any good, Raj? Still about 15 minutes to go in that one. We'll bring you updates as that one plays out. Okay, before we go back to the chat, shall we have another vowel? So for the third time tonight, I'll have a foul, please. Let's see if we can get any closer to identifying the player's name involved in a fouling incident. So once again, let's have a vowel, please. Another O. Unbelievable. It's the night of the O's. Stephen, Dan, any ideas?
I've got no idea.
Oh, lucky! He's got an idea. Oh, he's got Michael Owen for that. I thought it was good, but you've been Michael Owen.
Come on.
Oh, come on. Give him a break. Stephen, any ideas?
No idea.
No, impossible. If you think you know, then tweet at FanTV UK or email joining@fantv.me or Skype us. FanTV channel is the Skype. We've done the non-league chat, Stephen. You are, of course, a Chelsea fan. Let me just ask you about Rio Ferdinand's comments. Rio Ferdinand has outlined a few players who he thinks aren't good enough to win the title this year. He singled out Azpilicueta, Marcus Alonso and Gary Cahill. Is he right?
No.
Okay. Is he completely wrong with all three? Or?
He would have been right probably before the Arsenal game because the system has changed. It's gone to 3 at the back with flying wingers, and since then we've won 6 games in a row. So he's out of touch.
Absolutely. Rio Ferdinand out of touch. Could Azpilicueta replace Alonso as a left wing back to accommodate Kurt Zouma when fit?
When Zuma's fit, I think they will play around with it, and it's a long season, as we all know, cliche. But at the moment, it's working so well. With Moses combining as well, Alonso on that other flank, it's working so well. It's perfect.
It is nigh on perfect, and it's hard to, when you look at Chelsea, Dan, it's hard to pick an area for improvement.
Yeah, it can change though. I mean, 3-4-3 is a fad at Chelsea at the moment. It can change. Mourinho was a fan of 4-3-3, so you just don't know how they adapt. And against Manchester City, I probably see a few changes then, but maybe not in the lineup, but on how they play.
Let's just go back to Nick, our Manchester City fan.
Yeah, he wasn't seem very happy, did he?
He was terrified. He had a look about him. It's almost like, do you remember when Mike Tyson was at his peak? And you would see these boxers walk into the ring, and you knew they were beaten before they even stepped into the ring. And it almost seems that certain teams view Chelsea that way. It's like Conte's got some magic dust.
Yeah, and when you look at the stats, though, it doesn't back it up. Because out of the last 8 games away, Chelsea have lost 6. And they haven't won since 2014 now.
So what's everyone, and Nick, the Manchester City fan in particular, what's everyone scared of?
Chelsea 5, Everton 0. That performance, as a Chelsea fan, goes back to, for me, back to the 70s. That's what I am. They played so well. The brand of football. It wasn't just the way they won 5-0, but it was the brand of football they were playing. It was wonderful to watch.
Would you agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, I think it made the rest of the Premier League sort of take notice and think, hang on, we've got a real team. They're back almost. It's sort of the Chelsea that it was even better than the Chelsea that won the league 2 years ago. It was like, well,
yeah, it was. It was very reminiscent of. I remember Costa. He turned to play and went charging forward. It reminded me of the old Peter Osgood. I mean, that is a Chelsea legend. Any Chelsea fan will say he's up there with Osgood.
Up there with Osgood.
They were just relentless that night. And this is Everton we're talking about. They're not an ordinary team. They just
and Everton have struggled ever since.
Exactly.
They were
really not them.
It would seem they're still reeling from that result.
Absolutely.
And I've got quite a few Arsenal fans that were going on and on about when Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-0, but this was a better performance than Arsenal beating Chelsea.
Okay, a better performance than when Arsenal beat Chelsea. We've got another Skype caller. It's another friend of the show. It's the All-Stars night. It really is. Ginger Luke is on the Skype, everybody. The Ginger Ninja. He loves an orange background. Luke, how you doing, baby?
I'm all good, baby. All the pleasure for speaking to you.
You lovely man, Ginger Luke. We've missed you on the lime green the last couple of weeks. Let's talk the rejuvenated Aston Villa under the mighty Steve Bruce. That's the man with the magic touch there, certainly in the Championship. You've got Leeds next. How's it going to go for you, Luke?
On paper, it looks a very tough game, but on the pitch, it's going to be completely different because both teams have got threatening strike forces and both teams are really physical and going at it. Who would have expected Leeds to be up in the playoffs positions? Both teams are playing well. When I said if I go back a couple of weeks ago when I was on the sofa before we played Brighton, I said I'd take a draw. And when we come out the ground on Friday night against Brighton, we were all disappointed because we should have got the win.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like that Saturday. We've got to go all out for because we've got to be getting points now. It's coming to that Christmas period where everyone down the bottom of the table is going to start picking up points. Even like Rotherham, even though they're an absolute diabolical side, they will snatch a win from somewhere.
Brighton are very, very good side at the moment, though, Luke. So certainly no disgrace in only taking a point from that game. Do you think Leeds are as good as that Brighton side at the moment?
Leeds, I wouldn't say as good as, but they could be up there challenging for that second place. But because like teams at Newcastle lost, they've lost a few. Like Brighton lost a week before. Like that gap between first and fifth is very close. I reckon Reading might sneak up in automatic promotion and all. Come the end of the season, that second place fight is really tight at the minute.
Reading up to third, of course. They were great against my side, Bristol City. Do you think Reading for automatic promotion? Do you, Luke?
Playoffs for them.
Playoffs.
It'd be Newcastle and Brighton come automatic promotion.
Luke, Steve Bruce is already working his magic at Villa, but do you think it's just too much of a mountain to climb for Villa to make the playoffs this season, or do you think he can still do it?
It's definitely still on the cards. It's not mathematically impossible. We're only 4 points off the playoffs, 3 points off the playoffs, something like that. I don't know how many. And team, we look at it, we've got a team ups have got to draw rather than lose because the teams that win are going to go on. We want teams to draw so that I can balance it out and maybe Nick and Winnie will gradually move up forward the table. I can see us getting playoffs at the end of the season. At them, if we carry on playing like this, we're very good tactically. We're balanced, and we know what system and formation to play. If we go back to when we had Di Matteo in charge, we were switching the formation, switching the team line up every week. He couldn't keep a balanced side, and now we've got this team. Like on its day, we could even challenge a Premier League side for the win. That's how good some of the players are. And I would say some of the players Villa have got and Leeds have got are probably too good for the Championship. They shouldn't be playing at this level.
Ross McCormack on the floor. Matthew saying Ross McCormack, Luke.
He's got a bit of an injury knock at the minute. He's a bit of a risk, but come January, it's the African Cup of Nations and we are going to lose Kaja. I'm sure he will come back into the squad come around about January to get his mark back on, because on his day he's a very good creative player and can make chances happen.
Luke, I've never said this to you before, but you've got lovely cans. Look at those. They're beautiful.
That's a first, isn't it? Ooh.
Yeah. Luke, before you go, I just want to briefly bring in the sofa. Dan, Steve Bruce already doing a great job at Aston Villa. Do you think they can make the playoffs, though, this season?
Well, like Luke says, it's not impossible. They've got a lot of work to do still. I think it's probably one season too soon. I think next season, when a full season ahead of them, they'll have a proper crack at it.
Stephen, should Villa have got rid of Di Matteo quicker than they did and brought the likes of Steve Bruce in earlier?
I tell you what, I wish Steve Bruce was the England manager.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's a good shout.
That's the disappointment. So him going to Villa stopped that happening. Villa will go up. No doubt about it in my mind. They will put money on it. They will go up this season.
Just picking up on Stephen's point there, of course, Gareth Southgate has just been confirmed as the permanent England manager beyond the 4 games that he was originally brought in for. Stephen thinks that Steve Bruce should have got the England job. What are your thoughts? Tweet at FanTV UK, join in at fantv.me. Should it have been Steve Bruce for England? Do you think it should have been Steve Bruce for England? Very briefly, Luke.
It should have been Steve Bruce for England, but they sort of picked Allardyce over him, and when Allardyce got the bump, Bruce was like, no, I don't want it now. But I don't think it even should have gone to Gareth Southgate. If we go back previously to when England played Spain, you can't go in at half-time, 1-0 up, and make 6 substitutions. In my book, it's not a game of football, a proper game of football, when you make six substitutions. I'm sorry.
Dan, do you disagree with that?
Well, it's an international friendly, and that's what they're there for. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to blood sort of players on the international scene. So it's a necessary evil, unfortunately.
OK. Ginger Luke, we love you, baby. I'll speak to you again very soon, my man.
Of course, brother. Always a pleasure.
Love you, brother. Never a chore. Let's hear it for Ginger Luke. Once again, after Gareth Southgate has been confirmed as England manager, would you have preferred Steve Bruce? Get in touch. We've got a goal update. Who scored? 37-year-old Escobar hat-trick for the strongest against Guabira. for the strongest against Guabira. Is that right? Is that the name of the side, the strongest?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. 37-year-old Escobar has scored a hat-trick. Sign him up, did you say, Dan?
Sign him up.
Sign him up. Unbelievable. At the age of 30, Matthew's saying, calm down. Ben Woodburn for England, Matthew. Leave it. Let's just... OK, very quickly, Dan, let's have a Champions League preview from you, brother.
Yeah, it's a very... we've got Bundesliga versus La Liga. We've got 3 instances of that coming up. The big one will be Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Real Madrid have to win to top the group. Obviously, they've qualified for the round of 16, but they're going to want to top the group to get an easier draw. We've got Atletico versus Bayern Munich. Atletico have already clinched top spot. And we've got Barcelona versus Borussia Mönchengladbach. And again, Barcelona are already top of that group. So those other 2 will be dead rubbers, but the main focus will certainly be at the Bernabeu. Dortmund are in hot form at the moment. They seem to be saving their best for European competition.
And just very briefly, to go back to my favourite topic of the night, the 17-year-old wonder kid, he's got the right manager in Zidane, hasn't he? He's got the right manager to look after him.
I mean, if you're being touted as the next Zidane, it's great to have Zidane being the manager to bring you through, isn't it? So it's an ideal setup.
I love you, Dan. Stephen, very briefly, got 1 minute until the next break. Manchester City for you at the weekend. Can we have your score prediction, please, sir?
It's going to be 1-0 to Chelsea.
I think it's going to be just a 1-0.
I really think they're going to pinch it. Yeah, I really do.
OK, Chelsea for the title, or is it too early?
Without a doubt, JC. Come on.
Main rivals.
Oh, Manchester City for
Manchester,
sure.
not Liverpool.
No, I don't fancy Liverpool at all.
Don't fancy Liverpool at all. That's nice. Let me tease you with this coming up next. Our Liverpool fan. OK, let's hear it for Stephen Copping and Dan, the Liga man. Thank you, guys. Come back to the sofa very soon. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a 2-minute break. This is Fan TV live on Sky 212. We're on till 9:30. See you in 2. Good times. Thanks, chaps.
Cheers, mate.
Welcome back to Fan TV. We are live on Sky 212, Facebook Live and YouTube. Get in touch with us, of course. Fan TV channel is the Skype, at Fan TV UK is the Twitter, or the email is joinin@fantv.me all the way till 9:30. Let's bring two new fans, and I mean new fans, onto the lime green sofa. Please welcome Taylor and Owen, our Arsenal fan and Liverpool. Taylor, how you doing, baby?
Pleasure, thank you.
Good to see you, mate. An absolute pleasure. Owen, lovely to see you. First time on the lime green sofa as well. First time. Before we get into the sofa chat, we've got friend of the show, Fan TV favourite, the one and only, Kenny Ken on the Skype. It's time once again, ladies and gentlemen, for Kenny Ken's rant. Kenny, are you there?
Kenny!
Hello, you lovely man. Let's see those 24-inch pythons. Oh, quality. Absolute quality. Kenny, we've got... there's the other one as well. Even better. Oh, I love you, Kenny Ken. We've got... you can't have one without the other, quite right. We've got Taylor, a fellow Arsenal fan, on the sofa, Kenny Ken. And we've got
Get
Owen,
there, Taylor.
a Liverpool fan. Kenny Ken, the floor is yours, sir. Rant away.
Right, the thing is, right, there's certain things happening. There was one guy I was going to talk about, but I kind of decided that I'm giving him about a month to clean up his act. If he doesn't, then he's in the dock. But the people in the dock today are the Football Association, I'm afraid. Now, I'm not going to touch on a sensitive subject, but what I am going to touch on is the appointment of Gareth Southgate, because really and truly, that is the most underwhelming thing I've ever heard. I mean, the FA, where do they get off? I mean, we've gone from Croydon Roy, who Gary Neville, who basically were quit before they were going to get the sack anyway, because they couldn't even beat Iceland. And then we had the FA making a complete balls up by appointing Sam Allardyce, who's probably one of the most dishonest men on earth. I mean, did they do any checks on the guy? I mean, why appoint the guy in the first place? He came 17th in the Premier League. He saved Sunderland from relegation, and yet that qualifies this man to get the job in the first place. £3 million a year. I mean, he got £3 million a year, and then he basically lost his job for a bit of loose change. Where did he go from that? I mean, David who? Who the hell is David Weir? I mean, he's got a job from Gareth Southgate. And then they give him the under-21 job. I mean, that's probably one of the easiest jobs ever. I mean, you're not going to get judging results. You hardly ever get players into the Full England side. But what I don't understand about the whole situation is that we've known from day dot since the beginning of October that Gareth Southgate was a man for the job. So these idiots at the FA, and I'm talking about the idiots in association like Graham Defoe, Howard Wilkinson, Ashworth and Clark, went through this whole rigmarole of basically giving us the impression that they're going to go for other suitable candidates, and yet what happens? All of a sudden, we've got Gareth Southgate, and they're trying to sell it as though Gareth Southgate was the best candidate ever, and he gave a superb interview. Oh, please do me a favour. The guy got the guy as good as got the job the minute Sam Allardyce was caught with his hand in the till. I mean, don't insult our intelligence. And they wonder why people like ourselves couldn't give a damn about an England job. I mean, for the love of God, is it any wonder that people like the guys on the sofa, you, Justin, and me, only care about our clubs? And the only time we only care is when it's a major tournaments, because we know England are going to lose, don't we? I mean, the FA are meant to put the England team first, yet they invite this novice from Crawley, who basically looks more like a geography teacher rather than an England manager. And then all of a sudden, the FA thought about to rematch the FA Cup. Do me a favour, they're going to sign a £30 million deal with Emirates. And talk about rematch the FA Cup. If the FA Cup was that romantic, how comes all the big clubs have won it? The only time the big clubs hasn't won it is in 2008 when Portsmouth played Cardiff, which basically the FA must have been really pleased about that final, and when Wigan beat Man City. So don't talk about it putting English football first, because what you've done is you not only have you basically employed a novice, you're basically putting your wretched competition before the good of English football. So once again, well done the FA for making English football a laughing stock of world football. Well done. Only you guys could have done it. I mean, you guys are meant to be all well-paid professionals, all lawyers and barristers, and yet you can't even do a simple job of running the good game of English football. Like I said, mate, you only had one job, and as usual, you idiots at Wembley go and balls it up. Well done, lads. Very good.
It's another quality rant from Kenny Ken, everybody. He'll be ranting again for us on next week's show. Ken, before you go, I've got to ask you about this big Arsenal broomer today. Broomer! I've got to ask your thoughts on this because I can't believe it. The broomer is Arsenal have made contact with Red Bull Leipzig boss Ralph Hasenhüttl as they seek Arsene Wenger's successor. Can you believe that?
Not really. I think what's happening is that mate, I think what it is that Arsenal are always going to look at coaches like that because he's doing a very good job in German football. I think he's only about 29, and there's another coach that is linked as the coach of Tuchel at Borussia Dortmund. So Arsenal are always going to look at not so much as getting a big name, but someone who could build for the future and take, like I said, to take her goal. Because I think Arsenal are very much into the continuity mode. Because I think what Arsenal always wanted is that they don't want a big name, because if it's a big name, you're talking 2 or 3 years. What Arsenal want is what they got with Arsene Wenger, what they had previously George Graham, like someone spent 20 years, long-term manager, and they're probably prepared to wait for success. Me, myself, I prefer a big name.
But you prefer a big name, but you're not dismayed by the suggestion of Hasenhüttl?
Oh, not really, at all. I think I'd rather him than Eddie Howe, because I think, really and truly, no disrespect to Eddie Howe, he's doing a fantastic job with limited resources and limited players at Bournemouth. But if we want to attract the best players in Europe, and in order to, play in the Champions League, we're going to need a bigger name. And that's harsh on Eddie Howe, and that's harsh on English managers. But again, you've got to look at the situation. Football's now a results business. Whether you like it or not, there is no need for continuity. The managers don't have the time to bring along young players and turn them into gems. It just isn't there no more. Not even Wenger can do that no more, because people like myself, who are very critical of his job, won't allow him to do that.
Okay, Kenny Ken. Thank you, sir. We've got to leave it there. We'll speak to you again next week. Thank you, Ken.
Thanks. Love speaking to you guys.
I love speaking to you. Let's see those guns. Look at the pythons. Thank you so much, Kenny Ken. Every opportunity to show us the 24-inch pythons. Let me just briefly ask you the same question as our Arsenal fan on the sofa. Taylor, are you dismayed by the suggestion that Arsenal could be looking at the RB Leipzig boss, Ralph Hasenhüttl, to replace Wenger?
I think he's been a great manager for years, so I think he's going to be the perfect replacement. No, I'm joking. Okay. I have no idea about the guy, I'll be honest, but he's clearly doing something very good. There's a club, I think they're only, 9 years old or something like that?
Yeah, very, very new club,
and of course. To be challenging the top of the league like that, he's clearly doing something.
Owen, have you got a point of view on this?
I think I dispute what Kenny Ken said about Eddie Howe doing a good job on limited resources.
Yeah.
And I don't see a problem with that, because the RB Leipzig have got tons of money, and kind of that's a factor in why they're doing so well in the Bundesliga. So to say limited resources means he can't do a job at Arsenal is kind of, I don't really buy that at all.
Let's just briefly, before the next break, I want to talk about Liverpool. It's something that we actually discussed during the last break. I asked Stephen Copping on the sofa, who's a Chelsea fan, who he thought his main rivals, or Chelsea's main rivals, were for the title. He said Manchester City. Nobody, it would seem, is tipping Liverpool, and you are brilliant. You're on fire.
Yeah, I mean, and as I said to you, that's the way we want it. The whole season I've been saying it's City's to lose, and now it's Chelsea's to lose. I think they've got the squad to do it. We don't at the moment. Yeah. We've got a great starting 11 with probably 3 or 4 other players that can do a job. But now Coutinho's injured, Lallana's injured. The squad starts to look a bit thin. But we want to be a team that people underestimate, and that's when we get our best results. So you would rather be in that position? Yeah, I'd rather be on the shoulder going into the run at last end of run of games than kind of out in the leader where we can be shot at. So. To an extent, you're still find yourselves as underdogs, which is kind of weird. Okay, we've got a break coming up, but before that, let's have another vowel, please. So for the fourth time tonight, I'll have a foul, please. We've got nothing but O's at the moment, so let's see if we can find another vowel.
It's an E. Okay. 3 O's and an E. Why don't we have another with time running out? It's an I. Owen, Taylor, any ideas of the name we're looking for? Do you know it?
I think I know it. I don't.
Okay, don't say it, Owen, because we're still... That's okay, that's okay. Hold that thought. Owen thinks he knows it. Taylor doesn't have a clue. If you think you know, tweet at FanTVUK, or if you don't have the Twitter, then email joinin@fantv.me. We will have one more vowel between now and the end of the show. We've got a tweet in as well. Let's see this tweet. Who's it from? It is from, if I can see it on the big screen, on the jumbo screen, it's from All Shorts. The kid in front of me at the Arsenal-Southampton game has spent the whole first half doing his homework. Can't make this up. Unbelievable. Look at that kid doing his homework there.
It's the library, isn't it?
It's the library.
Perfect place to do your
that is what they call it.
Yeah.
My goodness me, you've got West Ham at the weekend at the Olympic Park.
Yeah.
West Ham fans complain there's no atmosphere there. Arsenal fans complain there's no atmosphere at the Emirates. It's going to be a hot game from a fan's point of view. We'll take a break. We'll be back on the sofa after this. Don't go anywhere. It's Fan TV on Sky 212. Good times. Love that. Welcome back to Fan TV. We are live on Sky 212. We got two first-timers on the lime green tonight, and they are sensational. It's Taylor, our Arsenal fan, and Owen, our Liverpool fan. Another vowel coming up later on in the show. Don't forget to get in touch if you think you know the name of the player that we're looking for. Owen is pretty sure he knows who it is, but keep it yourself for now. Let's go straight in with a Liverpool-based Broomer. Broomer. Now, this was everywhere today. In this particular Broomer, Liverpool are preparing a bid for Celtic star Moussa Dembele, which could be worth up to 20 million. 10 million up front with the same in add-ons based on appearances and success. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. He did a job at Fulham. He scored a lot of goals at Fulham. He's gone to Celtic. He's proved he can do it in the Champions League. He scored for Celtic, which is no mean feat in the Champions League. 20 million's a lot of money.
Calm down.
Calm down, says Matthew on the floor.
Didn't you spend 35 million on Andy Carroll?
Yeah, we did, and that worked out wonderfully.
Yes.
So, no, I wouldn't be dismayed. I just, does that spell the end at the club for someone like Sturridge if we're buying another striker? I don't know, but I wouldn't be horrified.
with Liverpool doing so well at the moment, Dembele is an interesting player to go after because will he really add anything to Liverpool at the moment?
I think, yeah, you're right. When Klopp came, there was a lot of talk around Liverpool about we can sign world-class players, Marco Reus, Aubameyang. These were the names being thrown about, and we haven't really seen that. We've signed some very, very good players, but not necessarily the kind of big names, world-class signings that people were expecting.
Sure.
So I think next season, if we get into the top 4, which is realistic, you might start to see a bit more movement on that front. So
also, though, great young players coming through.
Ben Woodburn.
Ben Woodburn, who
England
Matthew,
legend.
England legends, soon to be. Matthew is obsessed with Ben Woodburn.
Can't get enough.
How good do you think this kid is?
I mean, I think it's right to be realistic. Having said that, he's the youngest ever Liverpool goal scorer.
Yes, he is.
And the record that he broke was Michael Owen, and he was...
Who?
Yeah, exactly. And he's, so...
He scored in the 2-0 win, Owen, over Leeds at the age of 17 years, 1 month and 14 days, breaking the club record set by Michael Owen, who you mentioned, Taylor, who was 17 years, 4 months and 22 days. Here's a pop quiz for you. Who's the third name on that list?
For Liverpool goal scorers?
For Liverpool, youngest Liverpool goal scorers. It's now, of course, Ben Woodburn, beating Michael Owen. Whose record did Michael Owen break?
Is it... Oh, I don't know. It couldn't be a Robbie Fowler, could it?
No. Who said Robbie Fowler? Raj said Robbie Fowler earlier. It's Jordan Rossiter.
Oh,
who scored at 17 years, 5 months and 30 days.
I remember the goal.
Now, I know, and I take Matthew's point, we shouldn't get overly excited about Ben Woodburn, but he's just turned 17. What talent.
I think the key thing with Woodburn is that he's got Klopp, and I think if you're looking at a man who can bring through young talent, big them up, make them feel good, but he knows that he's not going to rush him into games. He's not going to chuck him in. He's not going to do what Rashford's done at United. It's not going to be a case of that. So I think he's got someone good there.
Made a lot of changes, of course, for the Leeds game. Let's talk about another hot young prospect at Liverpool, 18-year-old fullback Trent Alexander-Arnold. His EFL Cup performances, it would seem, have rewarded Klopp's faith in him.
Yeah, he looks class. A lot of the noise coming out of Anfield as well, if you listen to people like Jamie Carragher, they've got very, very good things to say about him. And I think if Jamie Carragher's got good things to say about a defender, then you're probably listening to the right person. So, yeah, that's exciting.
So, here's the thing. So, we've got Liverpool and Arsenal on the sofa. So, Klopp makes... how many changes did he make for the Leeds game?
10.
10 changes. Yeah. Great young players coming through and performing, scoring goals, a convincing 2-0 win, having made all of those changes. Similarly, Arsene makes 8 changes, was it, at least, and you lose to Southampton. What went wrong there for you, Taylor?
I don't know. We just didn't look like we had anything going forward. I think we're missing that backup of an exciting midfield. And I think we got that a bit better when Xhaka came on. He was looking to move the ball forwards.
Yeah.
Whereas when you got Coquelin and El Neni, they're the same player and they're safe players. They're looking to, pass the ball backwards, make the safe passes, but you need someone like Cazorla, and unfortunately we've missed him again. He's gone out in November, but he's the kind of player we need making, risky passes that pay off.
Well, Cazorla, according to today's news, is on his way to Sweden. He was advised by top specialists to undergo surgery that would correct the Achilles tendon injury, nasty injury. Travelling to Sweden early next week, we found out today, it's expected his full recovery will take approximately 3 months. That's not good for you, is it?
Not good. Well, this happened last year, and we realised this last year that our dip in form, we started fantastically, as we did this year, lost Cazorla, and we had that dip in form.
Yeah,
it's worrying as well because he's getting on. He's not young anymore. Exactly. 31, be out for 3 months for his second season in a row. You need to replace him.
We got lucky that he came back good this time around. Can he do it again? That's the question.
Rob Holding, who did play in the defeat to Southampton, and apparently he looked quite good. I think he had a pretty decent game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think he looked okay.
Rob Holding said, it was a chance to get some silverware at the end of the season, so I'm disappointed to be out. Has Arsenal's only realistic chance of silverware this season now gone?
I don't know. I would say that was probably our best hope, yeah. But I think if we're lucky, we can push on in the Premier League. Champions League, we've got no hope because we've proved year after year we are not up to scratch in that competition.
Yeah.
We don't have the starting 11, let alone the backup, to compete in that competition.
Okay, we are now going to reveal, I'll have a foul please, I've just heard in my ear, we have a winner. So let's reveal the name of the player that we were looking for tonight. We had an O-E-O-I-O, and the name is that Jose Mourinho? Owen, did you guess it?
That's what I had.
Owen got it. Taylor, did you get it?
I got it eventually, yeah.
He got it eventually.
When it
Let's
popped up on
find
the
out which one of you guessed it correctly at home. Here's the name of our winner. It's lovely Lucy. Lucy, our Palace fan. That is fantastic. The lovely Lucy, friend of the show, she got it right. Jose Mourinho. Well done, Luce. Congratulations. You correctly identified Jose Mourinho. Let's also reveal the results of tonight's Twitter poll. The question was, who's going to win the EFL Cup? 11% of you went Hull City, 38% Liverpool, 41% of you voted for Manchester United, 10% Southampton. Thank you so much for all of your votes. Most of you, although it was close between Manchester United and Liverpool, went for Manchester United. Guys, do you agree with the result of the poll, Owen?
I mean, I'm never going to agree with that. I'm a Liverpool fan saying United are going to win, but it is crazy.
I don't agree with it either.
I think,
Taylor, who would you go
Liverpool, Liverpool definitely.
You think Liverpool for the EFL?
Far better than Man U. Yeah.
Do you think Liverpool care about the EFL Cup more?
I think
than Manchester United?
top four in a trophy is what we wanted at the start of the season. I think we'll be happy with that.
So you'd be happy to lift the EFL Cup?
And finish top four.
And finish top four. Okay, remember, tomorrow night, Toby Tarrant is back here on the lime green sofa. He'll be talking Spurs, Arsenal, Bury, Charlton and West Ham. That's at 7:30 tomorrow night here on Fan TV. I'll be back next Tuesday for another week of mayhem. We've still got some time for some more chat, though. And I just want to draw your attention, in case you don't know already, Owen, to January, which could prove to be a difficult period for Liverpool. Because you're going to lose Mane. He'll be part of Senegal's Africa Cup of Nations campaign. So it's going to be a tricky period for you, that, isn't it?
It is. Coutinho's out till mid-January, which I think for me is a blessing in disguise. I was worried about someone like PSG maybe coming in for him in January. So
really,
yeah. But I think you've got Divock Origi. If Klopp can find a way of getting Sturridge firing, we should be okay.
So you're happy that Cazorla's going to be out for how long is it? They're saying is it? Coutinho. I'm so sorry. You're happy?
Well,
that Coutinho's
happy is the wrong word, but it takes that pressure of a kind of big Champions League team coming in for him, which I think is.
Do you think that was likely? Another big Champions League side?
It's always a possibility. You look at Suarez. Same thing can happen again. He's never against the all possibilities. So
it could be good for Sturridge, though.
Could be. He needs. It's tough. Sturridge is a great player. I love him, but does he fit in Klopp's system? It's difficult to say. Someone like Arsenal could really do with a player like Sturridge. So.
But how does Sturridge fit into Klopp's system?
Well, he doesn't.
He doesn't at all, does he?
He doesn't work hard enough off the ball, which is why Klopp seems to favour Firmino, who puts a shift in. So, but we don't have a better finisher in the squad. So he will get chances and he will take them. So.
The Broomer earlier that we talked about, Azmoun of FC Rostov. Have you heard anything about this?
Never heard of him. And as I said earlier, do we really want to be going in for players from FC Rostov? That, I'm not taking away from his ability, but we've been linked to other young midfielders in the Bundesliga. It's like Mahoud Dahoud or something.
Mahoud Dahoud?
Yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah. But he's supposed to be a great young
Yeah.
player, and you'd go for someone.
Dahoud, what a dude. It just sounds awesome.
So many jokes. You'd go for someone like that who's playing in a top European league over someone in the Russian league, for me. But
well, if before the next time you come onto the sofa, if you could do intense research on
I'll be watching all his
awesome.
YouTubes. Yeah.
Southampton legend Matt Letizia has taken a dig at Liverpool and warned they would have to shell out up to £50 million if they want to sign Virgil van Dijk from Southampton. Now, you've got a history of going after Southampton players, of course. How many Southampton players have you signed?
Well, 4 or 5.
It's 4 or 5 at least, I think. 50 million for Van Dijk.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, Taylor.
It's also not true.
Don't think...
I think he's probably my favourite centre-back in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
But 50 million for a centre-back, for a club that's not playing Champions League football, it's dreamland for Liz
Can
this
you
year.
see a Klopp going after him though?
Yeah, we need a new centre back.
Yeah.
We've needed a new centre back for about 10 years. I don't see why not. He's not playing for the biggest team in the league, and he's probably the best centre back in the league for me. So.
Okay, and Taylor, finally, you have now failed to reach the semi-finals of the League Cup since 2011.
Yeah.
Clearly, Arsene doesn't much care for it.
Well, he goes on about it's this chance to run out our youngsters, which is nice. And yeah, early rounds maybe you get a chance to give them a run out, but they're not doing the business, you know, and you need that silverware, and he's not realised that they're not up to scratch.
Okay, Taylor, Owen, thank you. Owen, we've got 10 seconds before the end of the show. Just very quickly, who would you cast in the role of Jamie Vardy in the upcoming biopic of his life?
Vinnie Jones.
Oh, it's quality. Quality. Taylor, very quickly, who would you cast?
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, I love it. Ian McKellen. Thank you so much to Taylor. Thank you, Owen. Thank you to you. Toby Tarrant back tomorrow. I'll be back next week. Good night, everybody. That's Fan TV. Thank you, guys.